Assalamu alaikum everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I'm Nahil Forest Wali. I'm from Karachi, Pakistan. Today with the most reputable person here. So her name is Juli. So we welcome our guest and get to know about her life journey. Hello Julie, how are you?
Fine, thank you. I appreciate you taking time out of your day to talk to me.
Thank you. So first of all, we all needed to know about you.
I'm sorry, please repeat that.
Okay. Please introduce yourself.
Okay, thank you. My name is Julie Shively, and I am the founder of Innovation World and the co-founder of the Global Innovation Field Trip. I am in Ohio, USA.
Okay, thank you. My first question is that can you tell us about your journey and how you become interested in innovation and STEAM programming for students?
Sure. Several years ago, when I left the corporate life, I decided to build a drama program. So I instructed students, or I ran the program that instructed students on how to be drama students and how to learn theater and how to do everything surrounding theater. So I spent about 8 years doing that, but in the time that I was there, I wasn't the teacher, but I had a firsthand chance to look at and watch the interaction between the teachers and the students. And I really found that it was so important that these teachers were acknowledging the students and teaching them to celebrate their losses right along with their wins, and really helping them employ the skills of empathy and creativity and perseverance. And then, not too long after I started that program, I ran into another program called the Invention Convention, which is a student invention program. And I discovered that it's those same skills that we were teaching in drama that work for innovation or invention. And then I started really thinking about it more, and I believe that any innovative program out there is going to require those same set of skills: empathy, to drive somebody to investigate and look further, creativity, and certainly perseverance in all of those types of programming. So I ended up hanging out with the Invention Convention for probably about 20 years, and went from a volunteer to eventually their director of education and operations. And then I was on the team that helped develop the National Innovation or National Invention Convention, which now resides at the Henry Ford in Dearborn, Michigan. So that's kind of how I got into it. It's been about 22 years now, and I have no plans to go away from it. It's a field that I love to be a part of.
Okay, great. My second question is what motivated you to co-found the Global Innovation Field Trip Gift and Innovation World Alliance?
Well, my motivation was and still is to develop ways to get other people excited in being part of the youth innovation space. The Innovation World Alliance is a coalition of organizations like my own. We meet regularly to find new ways to collaborate together to support and celebrate youth innovation. And the Global Innovation Field Trip is a platform that we developed for young people to share their innovation stories. It's a 24-hour online multi-country celebration of youth innovation. The program is hosted on Zoom webinar and live streamed on YouTube. And after the event, the 24-hour video is broke up into separate individual videos and posted up to our website, so people can come at any time and watch something that happened in their own country or some country far away. And so both of those programs really are just to drive more people to look at youth innovation, get involved in it, support it, and inspire students to be a part of it.
Okay. My third question is how do you define innovation and why do you believe it is important for students to explore it?
I don't try to define innovation really. It's more important to me what the student thinks innovation means to them. And part of the reason I don't define it for them is I don't want to create a boundary. I don't want them to have to think within what I believe. I want them to decide what they believe and what they feel like they can create. All of my years in working with the Invention Convention, you'd see little bitty kids come and they would have an invention that absolutely was not unique. Um, Somebody had thought of it, some other little kid had thought of it before them. But it doesn't matter. To them, it's unique. It's something they discovered. It's something they tried to do. And that's the important part, is to drive that feeling of wanting to continue to innovate and to learn more. And they do learn more. And as they get older, their byproduct of their work does become unique. But if we had stopped at the early part and said, that's not new, that's not unique or innovative, they wouldn't have wanted to go on. So the idea is to praise the process that they're in, not so much the outcome of it, to keep them interested in wanting to participate.
Okay. My fourth question is, could you share some example of successful STEAM programs you have developed and supported?
Sure. Way back to that beginning, being part of the Ohio Invention Convention, I didn't create it, but I was a part of it and continue to help it grow and develop into the program it is today. Helped develop that National Innovator Challenge, the Innovation World program that I am running now, which is an online resource for inventors, innovators, and educators who support them. The Global Innovation Field Trip, which we talked about a few minutes ago, the Innovation World Alliance. We have Innovation World podcast series, which is a series that interviews innovators and program leaders that support them. We've created student mashups, which are an interesting 1 hour kind of free segment of our Global Innovation Field Trip that is unscripted, and students from all around the world just meet for that hour over Zoom, and they talk about things that are relevant to them in their parts of the world. We've created the National Innovator Challenge and then assisted in the development of the Global Innovation Challenge, which are both competitions that accept entries of ideas, apps, or prototypes. And when I say that we've developed this, we do not develop this by ourselves. There are always collaborators that we work with so that we get a really well-rounded program that's not just made up by one of us. So we have a large team of supporters through the different programs that we work with.
Okay. My first question is, as a Chief Operations Officer at Innovation World, what are your main responsibilities and areas of focus?
Uh, Exercising my empathy, creativity, and perseverance as often as possible. I am the only what you would call employee of the organization. Everything else is done by volunteers that help us. So pretty much everything falls into my lap initially. And then some people help take on some of those responsibilities for me. But really, if I can sit back and employ that empathy and creativity and perseverance, then I'm doing my job. I'm doing what I'm role modeling to the students what their responsibilities are.
Okay. My second question is, how do you collaborate with educators and program leaders to inspire and support young innovators?
Well, through the programs that we've developed. So the Innovation World Alliance, we meet once a month, and it's a group of program leaders like myself, and we talk about what's going on in the youth innovation space and how we can make it better, how we can make it different, how we can just make it bigger. And the Invent Future Global has a very similar program for program leaders around the world, and I'm part of that organization, part of the United Inventors Association. So I just keep involved with different collaborative groups, and that's basically how we get it done.
Okay. My second question is, what are some challenges you have faced while expanding from local to national and global initiatives, and how did you overcome them?
So probably my biggest challenge is just bandwidth. I can't do everything, and I am the person driving most of it for the organization. So I go out and I find people who have a vested interest to help. I help them with their programs, and then they help with mine. So I've solved, I shouldn't say I've solved it totally. I mean, people can always use more help, but we do a lot of great things with the amount of support we have today. And that support is largely from the different organizations that we collaborate with that come to us and help us. For instance, the Global Innovation Field Trip, that 24-hour online event that happens every quarter, we have about 33 volunteer hosts from anywhere from 14 to 15 countries that come help us host that program. If it weren't for them, I mean, there's no way I can stay up for 24 hours and do a good job at something like that. So that's how we solve our bandwidth issue. We work with them to help their programs, and then they work with us to help our programs.
Okay. Can you talk about your roles as an ambassador for the Inventors Association and your involvement in the National Innovator Challenge?
Yeah, so the United Inventors Association is the largest coalition of invention organizations in the United States. And I'm their student ambassador. So that simply means that if they have programs where they want students to be involved, if they want students to come on to their monthly meetings and talk, or if they want to involve students in some of their trade shows that they go to, they reach out to me and I help them facilitate that. They're also wonderful supporters of the National Innovator Challenge. One of the National Innovator Challenge, by the way, is a US based challenge for students kindergarten through high school, and it's an opportunity for them to enter their idea or their app they built or their prototype they built. And at the end of the challenge, when the winners are announced, one of the things that United Inventors Association has been great with is they provide us with a youth innovation series on YouTube TV. So they set up a series of um, Zoom meetings that they invite the winners to that have subject matter experts. So it might have an expert in the toy industry might be there, an expert in uh, learning about patents might be there, just a wide variety of experts that will help these students then move their idea or their app or their prototype onto that next step. So we're very thankful to have the support of the United Inventors Association. And so
All
that National Innovator Challenge is open right now, by the way, for registration, and it closes on June 15th. So anybody interested from the US or on a team that has at least one student from the US on the team can go to nationalinnovatorchallenge.org to find out more about the program. It closes on June 17th.
Okay. My ninth question: what initiative or strategies do you employ to encourage diversity and inclusion in the field of innovation?
Well, what I have found is if you make it easy to access and not expensive, you automatically have diversity in your programming. And we try to do that. Almost everything that we do is done online, which means somebody doesn't have to travel a long ways to get to it. And it's always free or very, very inexpensive to participate in. And it just kind of naturally lends itself to diversity. So we're very proud of that. And we hope to be able to keep our program um, always free and accessible like that.
Okay. How do you measure the impact of your programs and initiatives on students and educators?
Yeah. It's always interesting trying to measure your success in something like this. I guess one way to measure it is just looking at the participation numbers. So, for instance, the global innovation field trip, over the 3 years, we just celebrated our 3-year anniversary. We've had 13 quarterly events. We've had more than 1,400 innovative speakers from 61 countries participating and more than 300 guest volunteer hosts. So I think that feels like success to me. It continues to grow, it continues to evolve, and people continue to sign up. So that's successful. My favorite way, though, to measure success isn't something you can really count. It's happens organically through these innovation programs. For instance, at one of the gift programs that we ran, we had a student from India that did a presentation on outer space. We also had a student from the UK do a presentation on outer space at different times in this 24-hour schedule. But one of them saw the other one's presentation and asked to reach out to them. So we connected the two families. And the next gift program, they presented about outer space together. And that, to me, is the ultimate prize in running this type of programming, is you're teaching people, or you're teaching young people, the importance of collaborating outside their borders.
Okay. Uh, what role do you see technology playing in fostering innovation among students?
Well, it's an important role with respect to the type of programming that we do, because technology allows us to enter living rooms across the world at a low price. Anybody that has an internet connection and a computer or a smart device or just a telephone or a cell phone can be a part of our programming because it's that accessible. But tools also can help in creating models and prototypes and apps and developing ideas. And I think it will continue to be an important part of innovation, but it's not the only important thing. I mean, certainly it's that creativity and that perseverance that drives those students to be successful, but the tools help them go farther faster.
Okay, all right. Are there any specific resources or tools you recommend to educators who want to incorporate STEAM programming in their classroom?
Yeah, if educators are welcome to go to our website, innovationworld.org, and click on resources. And then once they've got there, they can go to podcasts to find innovation podcasts for their kids to listen to. They can go to STEAM curriculum or STEAM programs and find something interesting. But to me, it really doesn't matter what program they decide to be a part of or what they decide to implement. Whether it's robotics or design or invention or even drama, as we were talking about earlier, the important part is really that they're learning to use their empathy and creativity and their perseverance to go through a process of learning. And once they've got that process down, or once they've practiced that process, they can turn that around and use it on anything in their life they want to. So it's not as important to me which tool a teacher uses, as long as they're implementing a tool to start with. And there's a lot of great ones out there. I'd say get your students involved in as many different kinds of things as you can.
Okay, all right. Can you share memorable success story or an inspiring moment from your work with young innovators?
Oh gosh, there's so many. And I think one of the ones that felt the best to me was the one I talked about a minute ago, with the student in the UK and a student in India who found each other through our programming and decided to collaborate. There's another one. We were doing a podcast with a young man named Siddharth, and he was 9 years old at the time, and he was an innovator. He's a multi-year innovator, and we were doing a podcast with him and sharing about his innovations, and asked him, as I like to ask young people when I talk to them, if you could go to lunch with anybody in the world, who would you pick to go to lunch with? And one of the persons that he picked is a man named Neil deGrasse Tyson. I don't know if you know who that is, but in the United States, he's a really big deal. And so we talked to Siddharth about writing Neil deGrasse Tyson a letter. And he's like, oh, no, that's not going to work. Try it. Just give it a try. You never know. And he did. He wrote the most beautiful letter, handwritten, like 7-page letter to Neil deGrasse Tyson, telling him he wanted to go to lunch with him. And at the end of it, it said, what time will you be picking me up for lunch? So it was very cute. And guess what? Neil deGrasse Tyson did not write back, but his crew wrote back, and they invited Siddharth to go to a conference he was holding in his state in the United States, in like 2 months down the road. So Siddharth got to go to the conference, listen to Neil deGrasse Tyson in person, and he got to go backstage and ask him a couple questions. So things like that can happen. And it's just an exciting thing to manifest out of the work that we do.
Okay. What advice would you give to aspiring innovators and educators who want to make a difference in their communities?
Get involved in anything and everything that you can. It doesn't matter if it's robotics or design or drama or invention. Find a program to get involved in, and you'll learn the same process in all of them. The process of identifying a problem and seeking solutions and finding the best solution to build out, and testing it and iterating over and over based on your tests and your consumer feedback. All of these things teach you that important innovation process, and get involved in as many as you can.
Okay, great. How do you envision the failure of STEAM education and its impact on the next generation?
I'm not sure how I envision it is the same as what I hope to happen. So I'd rather tell you what I hope to happen. I hope that innovation becomes required learning from as early as a child can collaborate. So as early as a child can start to understand the direction you're giving them, that you're helping them to figure out how to solve that problem on their own, how to innovate through it. It's a great coping mechanism. Once you understand the process, it can help you with anything in your life. And if innovation became an innate skill, um, it would make schooling something that was much more cherished than it is today, because you could take that innovation plan, the innovation process, then, and build it as you go through school instead of learning it in college. You really need to start very, very early, and that's what I hope to see happen.
Okay. What are your goals for the Innovation World podcast series and the Young Collaborate podcast series?
My goal is just to lift innovators' voices worldwide, to give them a platform to speak and to share.
Okay. How do you foster a culture of collaboration and knowledge sharing with your organization and across your global network?
I try not to develop anything by myself. I try to be inclusive of as many people as I can from as many different countries as I can, so it becomes better, because I strongly believe that I can do really good things. But if I do it with you and with other people around the world, I can do grand things. So I try to emulate that. That's what I try to foster, is working together, collaborating, and building together.
Okay. What qualities or skills do you believe are essential or individuals who want to excel in the field of innovation?
Empathy, creativity, and perseverance.
Okay. Okay, great. Finally, what are some upcoming projects of initiatives you are excited about? and would like to share with us?
The Global Innovation Field Trip has been widely successful, and I would like to find a way to develop national level innovation field trips, because at some point that global innovation field trip will become not accessible because too many people want to do it and it'll be really hard to get into. So I think the next step is to build country level programming that is similar, that can feed into the global innovation field trip. So that's one of the goals on my radar. Continuing to develop the new Young Collaborators podcast. It's very new, and we've only had, I think, 3 podcasts so far. So I'd like to continue developing that. It's great to have children responsible for their own podcast, where they're selecting the guests and they're writing out the interview questions just like you do. And they're in total control of the podcast. And all I'm doing is, recording it and editing it later for them. And then I want to develop a stories section on our website that hosts stories from around the world, from people who are doing really great things but could use some help, whether that's financial help or volunteers or new ideas. I want to be able to host their stories and point people towards them so that they can reach out and help those innovative talented people like you.
All right. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your valuable time. Again, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for the invitation. I loved it.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Bye.
Let's not make this the last time we talk. Just the first time we talk.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a good weekend.
Thank you. You too. Bye.